Okay, we'll call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, February 3rd. Do roll call.
Commissioner Ernst,
Here.
Commissioner Engel,
Here.
Commissioner Rollins,
Here.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Here. Any changes to the agenda? Nope. Okay, moving on to public requests. If we have any tonight, please state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, Robert Ducate, 5351 Northwest Third Terrace. Per the last couple meetings, there's been some comments about Jeffrey Street and the possible having that roadway go across the railroad tracks over to Dixie Highway as the city has applied. Over a year ago, I gave you a copy of this information that the city supplied to FDOT, an application to open that road and close one on Northwest 28th Street. And I just wanted to refresh your memory on this. I know that subsequent to that time, you had a potential resolution to go to the city council that indicated that, obviously it wasn't very transparent that they did this without, at least notifying you that they were doing it. But having a 4-lane road, I think you would agree, through the middle of a park certainly isn't in the interest of public health and safety. And I think that it would be good for the public health and safety if you would ask the city to abandon that roadway so that you would not have that problem. This information I passed out to you today, there were some pretty flagrant items in here that I highlighted in this. One of them pointed out that, are there any plans for any structures to be built near the crossing intersection? And they said, of course, none planned, which even at that point was, they submitted this, was not very accurate. Any change in the development may be a conversion, only change of the development, they said, may be the conversions of portions of the dormant golf course. They also pointed out that in this, that the west of the crossings, the golf course, along with scattered multifamily housing. I don't think anybody that drives along Northwest Second Avenue would call that scattered multifamily housing. So again, I would like to, again, help address this in the interest of public safety. You're going to have a beautiful recreational facility there. But again, having a 4-lane road through the middle of the facility certainly is consistent with the public health and safety. And hopefully the city will cooperate. And if the city doesn't cooperate, that's something that we'll have to deal with. I am happy to say that I did have a communication with the FEC Railroad a couple weeks ago, and they have indicated that they have not received any request for a crossing from the city. But the city has provided this to FDOT in their attempt to do this. Thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Please state your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, Mario Caprini. I'm president of Capital Group, the proposer for the P3. I live in 876 Alamanda Street in Boca. I just wanted to kind of make a general comment that if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. But the idea and our goal is really to start the conversation, start the discussions. This is a very sophisticated, complicated real estate deal. We believe that we've listened. We believe that we have the basic foundation for a solution, but I think this is only the first step of starting a dialogue to work together to try to find the right solution for the city and the citizen. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any other? Yep.
Hello. Son?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, commissioners. I'm Brian Hunt, 6631 Palmetto Circle South, Boca Raton, Florida. I am the executive director of the Peterbilt Family YMCA. I am just coming here to say this Saturday we opened up summer camp registration and we were able to do priority registration for those participants that were in our programs last summer. So we registered over 375 students thus far, not even opening up to the entirety of the community. And I just wanted to express my sincere thank you for renewing the agreement over at Patrice Park. We are excited to have that group come back, and we're getting a lot of phone calls asking from the parents if we're going to continue to run camp there this summer. So we're excited to say yes. So I was just here to say thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Any other public comment? No? Okay, we'll close public request and do approval of the minutes of the previous board meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of January 21st, 2025.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, moving on to regular business. First item, the Mission Aerospace Explorium exhibit.
Commissioners, page 5 of your agenda packets is a memo kind of outlining why this exhibit is in front of you today. We had approved an exhibit for the fall 2025. That company closed. They sent us the money that we had funded for a deposit back. Looking tonight to approve this exhibit, which would come in this fall. This is from Minotaur Mazes. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to see any of their work. They had this particular exhibit at the Science Center up in West Palm. It's a great exhibit. I spent a lot of time there, running through the maze, trying to find my way out of it with my little one, not just by myself. And we did find our way out. Anyway, it's a great exhibit. So tonight, just looking for a motion to approve this agreement as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? No? Roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, moving on to item 2, Jeffrey Street North Park safety discussion.
Commissioners, there's no items in your agenda packet except for just a brief memo. I met on Friday with city staff, including the Director of Municipal Services, as well as the Deputy City Manager, Andy Lukasik, on this project. The city is working on this project. There's no timeline. Everybody is supportive in the city of this project, but it has not been approved. There's still a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of various things that they have to do to get the Jeffrey Street extension done. And so at this point, I don't see, as far as the park goes, we are doing all we can to protect our park patrons. That's our responsibility and our role. One of the things that we had been tasked with is putting in a tunnel and putting in the sidewalks on a roadway that doesn't exist. So we spoke about it at length on Friday, and it was agreed that that's probably not the best use of our dollars right now. They'd rather us wait to see if this roadway even gets approved before we spend that money. So they're going to talk to Development Services, who had required that as part of the site plan process, to work together on that and wait till the roadway is designed and actually approved by all the people that has to be approved by. The city would not be the applicant, which is why the FEC does not have an application from them. But in general, it's a ways out. It's not happening right away. And so the good news for us is that as far as the park impacts right now, we're not looking to put in the tunnel for the first phase. We would do that if the roadway were to ever get approved. And that's my update. There's no action to take tonight. I just want to provide that update. Yes, sir.
Brian, who did you say the applicant would be?
The applicant would probably be the Florida Department of Transportation. It's not the city, because it's a roadway from UpDOT.
So that ties in with that has to be tied in with the closure of another location.
It
Is that-
does, yes. But there's a lot of, I think the word that was used to describe it is treacherous path forward to get a lot of paperwork done, a lot of approvals that still have to happen. So there's no timeline on this. It's not imminent. It's not happening in 6 months. So from the perspective of the city, they agreed that, until that was actually done and approved and in the works, then we could wait on the tunnel portion of the park. So that if it doesn't happen, we won't have a tunnel out there for nothing. Yes.
Do you have anybody at the FDOT that you can contact and explain that, this is a park that, it's going to impact a lot of bicyclists and runners and walkers?
They are, and that's why the city has tasked us with the people in the park having a place to go under the roadway rather than crossing the street. The outside, they would task the city with protecting those, like if it's just somebody that lives there walking over the railroad tracks, that would be the responsibility of the applicant to make sure safety measures are in place. But for our park perspective, putting the tunnel in would keep those people safe from traffic.
Anybody else? Nope. Okay. So that's number 2. Moving on to number 3, North Park unsolicited proposal discussion.
Commissioners, on page 26 of your agenda packet is just a memo outlining on Wednesday, January 15th, we received this unsolicited proposal for the development of North Park. There's a number of options available under the Florida statute. I will say that I met with the city again on Friday to talk about the recreation master plan. As you all have seen in the news, there's a lot of talk about the downtown campus master plan and the movement of the recreational facilities downtown. The city would like to work with us on the development of North Park to make sure that we have space for all those amenities. So tonight, I'm not sure if you want to take action on this or if you'd like to wait to see how those talks go. But here to answer any questions.
And I believe the city is voting on the downtown master plan on February 11th.
They're ranking them on
They're
February 11th.
ranking them, so they will have their top ranking on February 11th. And then they're having an open house on
February 19th,
the
I think.
19th, for the public to give input to the proposer that wins, I guess. I did go to the city council meeting where they had all 4 proposers. It was a very long meeting. I only made it through the 3rd and then I had to go. But by the time there was public comment, I don't believe there was a lot of public left there. So I'm not sure how much public comment they got in terms of this. I wasn't able to give my feedback during this meeting, but despite that, they are having their rankings on the 11th. So if you're interested to find out who they're gonna choose, and then I think the open house would be useful to go and give our feedback at least. I know I've talked to a couple of council members and given my feedback. But I think more people there, the better, that are interested in what's happening down there. It does affect us directly in terms of the recreation. So I do think it's important to.
I was at the meeting as well. All 4 proposals will significantly impact the recreational amenities in that downtown area.
Go ahead, Steve.
Just from where I sit, I think we really need to see what the city's needs are going to be vis-a-vis the west side of North Park before we act on anything else, because they're going to have to replace tennis courts, softball fields, et cetera, that are going to be displaced by the new downtown campus. So, and we have a commitment to the city to work with them on the recreational master plan. So I think before we go anywhere else, we need to look at that.
Bob?
You know what bothers me more than anything else is not the master plan. It's the disruption to the recreational facilities that Steve mentioned. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because in the newspaper this morning on the front page, it says 1,200 new units going into Brick, which is the old IBM property. Then you have downtown, you have, and that master plan, you have residential units that are going to go in there. And, you know, our population here in town has changed. The age has changed dramatically since I moved here in 77. I was a lot younger, number one. But number two, with the Arvida Park of Commerce, which I think it's a different name now, where my office is located. It used to be strictly the zoning required this to be a secondary location or an office that had another location somewhere else. So residential was not allowed in there. And I'm not sure how many more units have gone in there, but I see a lot of people walking, a lot of people riding their bicycle, a lot of kids in there. I'm just concerned that if we don't do a good recreational master plan, and there's really no way to anticipate. When I got on the commission, there was no way to anticipate that we were going to have the demand for lacrosse at Patch Reef like we did. We had no idea that we would have demand for pickleball like we have now. And I can envision the day that And we're at the point now where we don't have enough recreational facilities, whether they're rectangular fields, diamonds, or field gymnasiums. And it concerns me that this downtown master plan took legs so quickly. And I recall whenever we were doing in discussion for any of our development, whether it's a golf course or wherever, our meetings were held in the evening. And we stayed there till the last person got their comments made after our presentation was made. That's the way I think that the transparency should work. You have something in the middle of the day that lasts 6 hours. You can go back and say, well, go watch it on on their website, but you can't. You have no right, no way to have any input. Didn't mean to digress with that, but it was on my mind, on my heart to say something about that project. I don't think that we're in any position to make any type of or look at anything for North Park until we've had a recreational master plan designed with the city, with our input, and with their help. We'll probably need their help in order to do some of the build out there. I'm concerned about some of our recreation facilities now as they are, and the maintenance in which they are in. It's almost like they've been overlooked. The Woodlands is a classic example of that. We take care of the Beach and Park District takes care of their recreation facilities, but we're running out of space to put people and accommodate the times that they want to play. I mean, some of our adults are playing at 8 and 9 o'clock at night because they can't get a field earlier because there's kids on it, as it should be. Unless we get started on phase 2, we could be in a further jam if any of our facilities at FAU are they're growing. They've got a master plan. I don't know where they're headed with that, but we've got to be smart with our land. And I think until we do a recreational master plan in an effort to try to accommodate those needs that we currently have, I don't know what other type of sport to anticipate that we might be looking at in the future. But I certainly think that if you heard me speak about the need for a field house, I know that some of the adult soccer players are playing on the outfield in some of the fields at Spanish River. So there's no question that we're going to end up bringing in more people than we're going to be able to handle recreationally. And I'm concerned about what that's going to do to people who want to play, can't, because they can't get on a team, because the limitations of times that we can schedule these kids to play, whether it's baseball or soccer or even football. So I agree with Steve that we need to do the recreation master plan in the worst way so that we know what our direction is going to be before we decide how we're going to get there.
Okay, yeah, and Team Boca is using the outfield and all two of those diamonds as well, just so you know.
Well, as I said, it's everywhere. Everybody's
Yeah.
having to sacrifice, whether it's the adults playing at 9 o'clock at night or whether you're on the outfields. The outfields are probably in better shape than the fields are. And
At this point, yeah,
Yes,
they
right.
need some rest time. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Right.
But I think Brianne did have some really constructive back and forth with the city. So I think it was really good and she got a lot of information. So, but I agree with you. I think we definitely need a plan before we move forward with anything else. And we need to find out more about what the city is planning. Obviously, all those recreational amenities are going to be wiped. And then we have to find out what exactly is going in terms of whatever plan they decide. Because there were some that included a little bit. So it'd be nice to know exactly what they're planning and then work with them to develop a good plan so we know exactly what we need to do.
Well, anything that they build is probably 3 years away at a minimum.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the timelines, but they
But
have
we
their
have those
timeline.
timelines up because we deal
Yes.
with those all the time,
Yeah.
but the planning process, by the time you get through, then the permitting and everything, you're.
None of them included rectangles or diamonds. I'll let you know that.
Did any of them include a field house?
No. So the
See.
major things that we're looking at were not included in any of those.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I hope Rick Stevens is listening and has some input on that because the field house is what we need. If we could have something like that in connection with the city where we could do a build out on the west side. If it, that's probably where it would be a good fit with some other amenity might work. But let's do the recreational master plan and see where we go.
yeah, we need to get that expedited
Yeah.
for sure, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, Susie.
The good news, everybody, is all this use of field space and recreation is keeping these kids off their screens. And I think that that's a really positive way to start looking at things, that we're doing a great service for the youth and for some of the adults, honestly. I just, it's a horrible problem to have, or a good problem to have, but I agree. We got to do the master plan. We appreciate all the hard work you have put into this, Mario. We know that there's a lot that's gone into this, but we have to be responsible with tax dollars and what green space we have. Nobody's discounting anything or accepting anything at this point, but we've got to see what the city wants, because if we don't cooperate with the city, then we don't get permits. We don't get, other things, as you well know. So, I definitely think that we should all be at the ranking, or at least the public input to let the city know that we want to keep recreation in the forefront.
Craig, do you have anything?
Yeah, my only feedback on it is, the proposal at the table is a public-private partnership to develop the North Park, but I think collectively we're saying we need to know what we're going to develop before we develop something. I would not be adverse to working with a public-private partnership to further develop things and to pay for things. So I think we should keep it on the table. It may be a little bit premature, but it's an opportunity to save taxpayers' monies, because all of these things moving around get kind of expensive. And if we want to focus on building a field house, it's easier to do that than it is to try to develop the whole West Park. So I'm kind of looking forward to letting Brianne work with the city, and us collectively working with the city to get this a direction underway, and then reconsidering whether it makes sense, who's going to pay for it, and what amenities should be or could be added to make it logical for a public-private partnership.
Okay, thank you. And
Yep.
and keep in mind, I think because we are working with the city on this and they expect us to work with them on this, they are open, I think more so now, to helping us financially with things on the west side for sure. They do have that $65 million still sitting in the bank making some money. So I think definitely because we will be helping them replace some of these things, that they are open to working with us financially on building the things that we need. So
Well, that's indeed good news to hear that, the issue really with the west side, is that some of the amenities that were like a field house or a swimming pool are easily would fit in there. The problem that you're going to get into is that with the loss of the softball field and the baseball diamond that were lit, you're not going to be able to put lighted fields in that parcel back there. I'd be the guy that was upset about the little parking lot that hadn't been paved recently would be more than upset when when the lights turn on at night over it, because it's not an appropriate place for something like that. Unfortunately.
And that's why the bigger discussion of the master plan and the different possibilities of where things can go is really, really important. And I think they started that discussion. So I think it will evolve and move forward. But I think the biggest thing on the city's plate right now, obviously, is that big downtown. And I think they need to get that sorted first and then move ahead on the recreational master plan.
I'm looking at my calendar, the 18th. We have a regular
No,
meeting?
it's not the eighth.
Because the
It's
17th
the
is
19th
President's
was the
Day.
open house.
I think it's the 19th.
Their open house with with their
Oh.
top ranked firm, I think,
I,
is what
I
their plan
missed
was.
it.
Yeah,
So it's the 19th?
yeah, with the top ranked firm.
Thank
But
you.
keep in mind, the public comment is only with the top ranked firm that has already been awarded based on the rankings that they do on the 11th. So at this point, there's no further public comment that you can make publicly. I mean, obviously you can send emails on your opinions of the 4 different proposals to them. But there is no other opportunity to make public comment, which I'm just gonna say, I think that was a big mistake on their part. Because I mean, I was there and I couldn't even make public comment because it was too long. I had to leave. So, I hope they're listening. And, that's all, I guess. So, any other further comment or discussion on this?
Madam Chair, if I can briefly offer,
Mhm.
just for the record. On the dais this evening, we provided you with an updated memorandum from our 2021 memorandum with regard to the 3P statute. And that memorandum is a roadmap for you, not just for this particular discussion you're having under item number 3, but also for any item in the future that may come across your desk. And it basically is a memo that re-explains 255.065, which is a statute governing this particular subject, 3Ps, both unsolicited and those which are solicited. For the record, the speaker earlier who presented with regard to their unsolicited proposal has been received by the agency, by the organization, has been docketed as having been received. It's a public record, as was mentioned earlier. There's no requirement in the statute, and the statute was amended in 2024. And we go through a whole litany of requirements and other conditions that are to be considered as if and when the commission makes a decision to move forward, if at all. There's no legal aspect or requirement in the statute as revised that requires any specific action. What we do know is that there's been an application or a request filed. Your conversation, your public comment is legally sufficient to the extent that it has been received. You have it in your hands. And to that extent, you can certainly at some time in the future, there's no deadline in the statute that governs specific action to be taken. If you choose to take action in the future, you certainly have the right to do so. And the memo goes into great detail under the statute with regard to how you handle unsolicited proposals and solicited proposals and the distinction between both of them. Happy to answer any questions, but just to clear the record and make sure you have the memo. We worked on it over the past couple of days, recognizing the item is on the agenda. And it's a primer for you and a roadmap for this issue and for any that may come down in the future. Happy to answer any questions.
Sam,
Yes.
we got this late this afternoon. I just read very quickly there, it had a roadmap and said if you determining if an unsolicited proposal meets the minimum requirements, that doesn't override the fact that we have a loan that doesn't allow us to do a P3, right?
The answer is that, as you may remember, 3Ps are allowed. Remember the district engaged an outside law firm about a year or so ago. The Bryant Miller law firm from Tallahassee that did a review. 3Ps are allowed, but the issue is, what does the statute permit you to do? You can't lease your property and you can't sell your property. So those are legal facts that are in the AG's office and in the special act.
I think what Commissioner Rollins is referencing is the bond on the west side
It exactly,
that prevents the P3 from happening.
then at this time it does.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I was
That's a
asking.
legal, on that issue, forgive me, that's an absolute legal bar.
Right.
Right.
The memo from the city on that issue is in the
It's
agenda
in the
packet.
backup, correct. And that's something that has to be reckoned with at some future moment, but maybe not this evening, but it's out there.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
And the bond should be paid off by 2027,
Yes.
right? Unless something else happens in terms of working with the city.
Correct.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you for listening. I hope that the memo was helpful to you, and certainly if you have questions outside the public meeting, I'm happy to respond to anything within that document that might be a benefit to any one of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so there's really nothing to vote on or anything in that. We'll move on to approval of payroll and invoices. Craig?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make motion for approval of payroll and invoices in the amount of $148,403.13.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Hey, reports and discussion items. Executive Director.
Commissioners, the ribbon cutting for the DeHornley Maintenance Facility was rescheduled for February 24th. That should be on everybody's calendars as a tentative date. If it changes again, obviously we'll send that out, but hopefully that is the day. We had our monthly meeting today with Greg and Tiffany, the Director and Deputy Director of Recreation Services for the city. We discussed starting to get to work on the ribbon cutting and the grand opening of the Patch Reef Park Playground because that's coming up in May. So they're going to get their team going on that. And their staff is also working on the Park Passport Program as part of the city centennial. So we worked through a number of issues today with them. Always appreciative that we can meet with them each month. It's very helpful. I also met with city staff 2 weeks ago to talk about the special needs programming that they're putting together to present to you all for Patch Reef Park. So they're putting together a great program there and hope to have that in front of you guys in the coming months. In my conversations with Zach from Municipal Services, he also shared that his staff is almost finished with the design of the traffic garden that's going to go out at North Park. So it sounds very exciting and I'm looking forward to seeing that and bringing that in front of you all to take a look at. And then I also wanted to wish our chair a very happy birthday. Her birthday was Saturday and just a little embarrassment here on the dais. That's all I have.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. The J.J. Morley case is about to be settled at the number that was discussed at the last commission meeting. It's a $90,000 settlement. We've approved the form and content of the settlement agreement. It's in the process of being executed by the appropriate parties that need to sign onto it. And as soon as we get that signed, your director has been authorized to sign it as appropriate any day now when we get the final version. And once that happens, we hope to be able to get an ACH transfer of the money to the district's funds, which are unfettered, which means they're unregulated and restricted to the extent that they're part of the general fund. And to that extent, we thank you for your patience, obviously, and the commitment to find a way to get this matter resolved and learn from the experience that would otherwise be helped in the future. So for that, we thank you. I have nothing to report on the permanent easement matter, which, as you know, is another item that's been pending for some time. We have some data which we're developing with the executive director on appraisal data, which you're aware of. And once we're able to secure further information about that data, we'll consult with you and seek direction with regard to how that might otherwise be handled in the future. And that's all I have this evening, and thank you for listening. Happy to answer any questions. You have the memo that we issued also today with regard to the 3P under the statute. Thank you for listening.
Craig, do you want to go first?
I have no feedback. Thank you.
Okay, Steve.
Craig, I hope you're enjoying yourself and skiing and freezing your butt off. Other than that, and to wish our chair a very happy birthday. And just remember, I have clothes older than you, if that makes you feel better. I have nothing else. Thanks.
Thank you.
I can't top that. Happy birthday, Aaron.
Thank you.
I don't know what I was thinking you were going to come out and say. Craig, I just want to tell you to be aware that Eric is doing a great job as Jordan Ogman's buddy, and Chuck came out this week to photograph them. So I expect the next media post is going to be very focused on Jordan again, and it makes me very happy. I do have a question. Do we know how many residents and non-residents are going to be using this $4 million roof over at Sugar Sand? Is there any way to tell?
We do not. We could get a count on the programs that are out there. We don't know the open play. I don't think they count. I know they don't take residency on the open play aspect, like with the roller hockey and a lot of the open play basketball, but we can certainly get numbers on the use that is programmed like futsal.
I mean, when you say they don't take numbers for open play, is that inside the field house as well? They just let whoever come in and we don't know if they're residents or non-residents.
Are you looking, do you want to know the roller rink specific use or do you want all of it?
Well, I mean, when you popped up and said that,
The indoors would have a different count. So they do have, because that's staffed and
Okay.
they keep count there.
That's-
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
No, don't use staff time for that. I just was wondering if you knew.
Oh, no, but we could get the usage that is that has the youth sports groups attached to it.
Okay.
Okay.
And happy 29th birthday again.
Thanks. I wish. Okay, first I need to apologize. I was corrected by somebody. There will be public comment prior to the ranking at the meetings on the 11th. So there is a CRA meeting and then there's the city council meeting later. So I don't know if they're gonna be doing public discussion, public comment prior to both or just one, I'm not sure. But they will have public comment on the rankings the day of the rankings.
And what time is that meeting?
So the CRA is at 1:30 and then the council meeting is at 6.
On February 11th, the council meetings are at 6. The CRA meeting is usually the day before.
So I don't know when exactly, so we'll have to see when when the thing comes out, it will say probably on there when the public comment will be.
Yeah, and quick question, is that meeting going to be held at city council chambers?
No,
or
6,500.
6,500.
6,500, okay.
Yeah.
Brianne, would you be able to send us a little note and remind us about that? Because I'm always terrible about putting it in my calendar.
I'll send you a text. Bob,
Thank
reminder.
you.
Yes.
Thank
If you subscribe to the city's notifications, they send you the link to the agendas too on your phone. I can send you a link to that too if you want, but
Okay.
I get them.
I'm technology challenged. as you
No,
know.
you're not.
But I have nothing else and thank you for all the birthday wishes. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes,
Motion passes.
meeting adjourned.
Good night.